peeps? Mr. Bones back at you, and it is once again Wild Eye Wednesday. And we're going to talk about Call of the Undead, the last stand for the living. Cops, crooks, and killers try to escape a city infested with the living dead. A virus breaks out in a cartel-controlled city that turns people into violent, bloodthirsty maniacs. As military teams are dispatched to evacuate residents, they quickly become trapped between violent criminals and an army of undead. In a last-ditch effort, the cartel and the army join forces in order to fight their way through the city before the infected can stop them. Starring Morris Jung, Yvonne Yale, Sonia Ayambe, Josh Wilson, Jack Kayo, Taibo, Yukiya Onishi. Produced by Morris Isang Jung, written and directed by Joe Chien. Original title is Z108 Ki Ching from 2012. And I just gotta say, I barely got through this movie. If it wasn't for the bad acting, which could have been tolerable, but I barely made it through it for the horrible dubbing. You've got, I think it says this is a Taiwanese film. Yeah, it says Taiwan's first zombie movie. But so since it says Taiwan's first movie, I'm assuming the whole cast is Taiwanese people, peppered in with a few black people and some white people. Yet the whole movie's dubbed in English, which is horrible. I would have rather it been their language, Taiwanese, with English subs. Then I probably could have enjoyed it. It had horrible dubbing. Like, this one lady gets separated from her 12-year-old son, and you could plainly tell it was a grown man, white actor going, "Mommy, mommy." It's like, what the fuck? And the other actors, the voices don't match up to him, or it's voices that don't match the people at all. So I looked on IMDb. I don't really know whose name belongs to who, but I'm going to say it starts off with this Taiwan lady named Linda, who wakes up from being unconscious in her car that had wrecked with her. So she wakes up from being unconscious, and her husband appears to be dead, and she gets out of the car because her little girl's missing, and she's wandering around looking for her little girl, yelling, "Chloe, Chloe." And like I said, the voices in this does not match up to the characters. They sound weird. With this scene and a scene at the end where people are yelling, "Help us! Help us! Please help us!" And if you've seen the movie, it very much reminds me of a scene from Dreamcatchers where the aliens are yelling, saying, "Please don't hurt us. Please don't hurt us." And yeah, so she wanders into a grocery store and gets herself a bottle of water, hoping that her kid's in there, I guess. And then turns the corner and sees some zombies, and drops the bottle, and it rolls over and hits one of the zombies' hands, and they give chase. And when she runs out of the grocery store, she sees her little girl wandering down the road and a zombie about to get her, and beats the zombie off and grabs her little girl and takes off. And they get back in the car, and Frank is a zombie trying to bite her. So she gets back out of the car with Chloe, running down the road, and a car stops to pick her up. Then the movie starts. It's like 100 and something minutes earlier, and the movie starts and shows this gang boss who hangs out at a strip club and a bunch of strippers and shit. And then it goes on to another story. It jumps back and forth, and it shows that this woman was picked up by some Leatherface wannabe that's wearing a skinned face and keeps women in a basement, and has the mother in the basement and a little girl upstairs with him, and says something that did not sit well with me, that I'm gonna have to wait a while before I can have fun with you, because the little girl's just like four, three or four. It's an infant, and that was a disgusting line. And he's got women in cages and tied up in the basement, and zombies running some kind of wheel for some reason. And you got cops and gangsters trying to survive together, and there's just dumb shit in this. Like, there was one scene where they're in a theater, and crime boss says this random shit to this black guy about whites and blacks don't sit together. And I'm thinking, you're not neither of those. That didn't make no sense. You're not white. Dumb, silly, racist line. It had some cool effects. Like, for some reason, toward the end, the crime boss turned into some kind of blobby mutant monster zombie with a giant hand and big old fat neck. And there was this one scene where this cop had a female zombie stripper over top of him, and he pulls her jaw off, and all this ooey gooey shit and guts pour all over him. But the good doesn't outweigh the bad. Like I said, the acting's not so great, and the dubbing about killed me. So yeah, that's what I watched. Peace.